Hello, everybody. Welcome to Candidate Corner. And this is our show here at Greater Seattle Korean Association. As you may know, we were awarded with the King County Voter Education Fund. So as part of that grant, our goal is to inform and educate on the voting process and hopefully generate new voter registrations, but to also interview candidates here at our studio because we hear a lot that most of the voters out there, they don't really know too much about the candidates and other than the voting pamphlet. So we hope to kind of digitize that process, and that's what we have. We've invited all candidates to be equitable, running in various positions. So today, we're very, very pleased and excited to have Nick Tun. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you. Thank
to
you.
Candidates Corner. Nick is currently running for Bellevue City Council Position 1.
Yes,
Position
yes,
1.
I am.
Great. So I'm just going to ask Nick just a few questions. We just want to really get to know him. But before I do that, I just want to preface it by saying this is not an endorsement from Korean Association, but rather we are mainly here to just get to know our candidates. As I said, we've given all candidates within a certain position the opportunity to come out and invite them and to speak. So this is not an endorsement, but it's really just to get to know Nick as a candidate. So Nick, thank you again for joining us. And we're just the first thing that I think that we're curious about, and perhaps the audience would like to know, is that this is your first time running. And so, and as we understand, you have a tech background. And what kind of inspired you to run for Bellevue City Council in the first place?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So my name is Nicholas Tan, just to introduce myself again. Sam did a great job, but I am also running for Bellevue City Council. That's position 1. And you're asking me, this is my first time running. That's absolutely true. But this isn't my first time being involved in the community. I've been involved in the community since 2020 when the anti-Asian attacks happened. Back then, I was not living here in Washington State, but I was living in San Francisco, where the worst of the anti-Asian attacks were happening. I started up a community organization there. We grew it to about 100, 150 people. And what we were doing was we were donating to local nonprofits. We were escorting people around. We were helping elderly Asian men and women to go get their groceries, to go do their errands. We were working with Compassion in Oakland. Nonprofits like that. We raised a lot of money to help get our elders things like alarms and whistles that they could use to protect themselves. And we did a lot of good there. When I moved up here, I tried to keep the same type of spirit in helping the community. I've joined the Bellevue Police Diversity Advisory Committee, where we assist the Bellevue Police in working with the Asian community. That's what I do. I help them in reaching out to and working with the Asian community. And I also work with the Bellevue Diversity Advisory Board, where we help the city government under the city manager consider the Asian community more in the practices that they do and in the policies that they enact.
Okay, great. Thank you, Nick. And also, so if elected, what is kind of your main platform for our community? What do you feel are some of the needs that need to be addressed? And how would you what would kind of be like your first couple months?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the main reason behind what I'm running for, and I think one thing that sets me very much so apart from the other candidates, is I'm running on the cost of living and affordability. And I don't mean just like things are too expensive, but I also kind of do mean they're just too expensive. We don't make enough money. And life is just getting a little bit harder every year that passes by. And there's no break from it, right? There's a lot more I think the city can do to help us. When I talk about affordability, I'm talking about things that the city can do for us. We pay so much in taxes. I'd like to see some of us getting that back. We should have an option in the city for affordable childcare, whether it's city run or city subsidized. Right now, childcare in the city is like $2,000, $3,000 sometimes, depending on the daycare you put your kid into. It's ridiculous. Somebody working a full-time job sometimes doesn't make that money a month, and so they're forced to stay home to take care of their children. I would like to see us do affordable transit as well, right? Not just affordable, but more accessible transit. The city can afford to make every single bus in Bellevue free, and I think that they should. That makes it so more people can use the bus system, more people can get off of their cars and not be so reliant. And it also allows our elders and our kids to start using our public transportation system in the way that it's meant to be used, to go where they need to go from where they currently are now. I talk to a lot of people, from people that live in low-income housing to people that are just kids trying to get to school. One kid told me he needs to drive to school, or his parents needs to drive him to school, because if he takes the bus, it takes him 50 minutes with a transfer to get to Bellevue High School. But if they drive, it only takes them 10 minutes. That's not how it should be. We should have a city that is more accessible to people here so that people can reach more opportunities.
Great. Thank you very much, Nick. So the cost of living and affordability is kind of a
Absolutely.
huge
Cost
top
of
of
living.
mind. Yeah.
That is my top of mind. That's my priority here, is both cost of living and affordability, and also the inequality in our city, right? Right now, even in the whole state, Bellevue is the pinnacle of inequality, where we have tall buildings, extremely rich people, but also people that the city isn't working out for. It's really hard to live here. It really is. And it's getting harder every year as things get more expensive. We're not just talking about housing and transit, but it's the cost of food, it's the cost of childcare, it's the cost of taxes. It is everything. And I think there's a lot that the city can do here, not just in subsidizing that, but maybe we remove some taxes on groceries. Maybe we look to remove taxes on our utility bills, because everybody's got to pay that. Maybe we remove taxes on regular things that normal people need to buy, like winter clothes for our kids, like school supplies, like internet bills. We can do a lot more to make the city more affordable for the people that live here.
Great. Thank you, Nick. And then finally, as a Vietnamese American, tell us a little bit about your background and sort of your upbringing. Yeah, if you would. Yeah, and also if elected, that I'm sure that translates over to, as an elected, what we would do for our local AAPHI community here. And so, can you talk about that a little?
Yeah.
Sure.
The Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander community is very close to me. They were a very large part of my childhood. My parents always took me to community gatherings where everybody would get together. We'd do potlucks. We'd meet at the church. We did a lot in the community, and we got a lot of help from them. And I'd like to give that help back, right? When we go into my background, like Sam said, I'm a Vietnamese American. My parents came over as refugees from the Vietnam War. My father was able to come over through a program where POWs, or prisoners of war, were able to come over to America after they had been released from North Vietnamese prison. They were able to be released, and then through a program they were able to take their families over here. That's how we came over here. My parents initially landed in Oregon. That's where I was born. And in Oregon, they were they were new immigrants, right? And so they needed a lot of help from the community that I think we could do better in providing new immigrants, where they were scammed a lot when there were new immigrants over here. They worked for people that didn't pay them. They rented apartments and places to live in that were not up to code and were very dangerous to live in. They were sometimes going to work on farms and picking produce, and at the end of the hard day's work, sometimes they just wouldn't get paid at all. There's no legal representation for people that don't speak English very well nowadays, back then and nowadays. And my family then eventually moved to Phoenix, and that's where I was raised, Phoenix, Arizona. That's where I went to school. That's where we started to get more enmeshed with the Asian American community here in America, and where we started attending community gatherings and trying to give back to the community where we can. When I started my career, I then moved to San Francisco and the Bay Area. That's where I started my career, and that's where I started my own community involvement.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Nick, again for joining us and for just sharing a little bit about your background. And then thank you, viewers, for watching and also tuning in. And then it's Nicholas Tan on your ballots. They should have already been mailed, but that's Bellevue City Council Position 1. He's there along with other candidates too. So you make the choice. But thank you very much for joining, and we'll see you next time. 네, 감사합니다.
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 Thank you.
Hey.